Good day and thank you for joining us on Beetv News Updates at 3. I am Libratesman Joanna. Now the news in details. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has said his administration is entering a decisive phase of governance focused on accelerating development and delivering projects that will have direct impact on residents across the state. Sanwo-Olu made the statement on Sunday during the 26th Lagos State Annual Thanksgiving Service held at Tafawa Balewa Square, Lagos. He noted that the next phase of his administration would prioritize initiatives that improve the quality of life of Lagosians. According to the governor, the development drive will cut across key sectors such as transportation, agriculture, healthcare, energy, the environment and infrastructure as the government intensifies efforts to achieve sustainable growth across the state.
Pushing and opening the coastal highway, which made significant progress, allowing critical section to be open to commuters during this Christmas celebration. We believe this flagship project is already delivering sustainable benefits to the economy of our state and to countless local communities. We're deeply grateful to Mr. President for envisioning and initiating this and many projects, for his dedication that has helped secure the required investment in financing, for granting approval in several laudable projects in the state and in the country.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has paid a thank you visit to Ahoda, West Local Government Area of Rivers State, as part of his engagements in the state. Speaking during the visit, Wike said he was in the area to express gratitude to the people for the overwhelming support given to him and President Bola Tinubu during the 2023 general elections. He commended residents for their loyalty and political commitment. The minister noted the Rivers State was once widely respected across the country for its strong political stance and quality governance. He, however, lamented that the state image has declined over time to what he described as poor leadership and bad governance.
He had to complete his 8 years because he has shown Rivers State love. Who would ever believe in this world that a Rivers man will be a minister of the Federal Capital Territory? Who would ever believe that? And by the grace of God, we are doing very well. You can see that Rivers State is respected because of what we are doing in the Federal Capital Territory.
At least 42 people have been killed and several others adopted following coordinated attacks on community in Agwara and Borgu local government areas of Niger State. Local sources said 37 people were killed in Dansodaji near Papiri, while 5 others lost their lives in Kima village during the attacks. Several residents were reportedly adopted, including children believed to be pupils and students of St. Mary's Catholic Primary and Secondary Schools, Papiri. The attacks have left affected communities in fear, with many residents fleeing their homes. The Niger State Police Command has confirmed the incident. In a statement, the Police Public Relations Officer SP Wasiu Abiodun said the command received a distress call about 9 p.m. on Saturday. He added that a joint security team has visited the affected areas and efforts are ongoing to rescue the adopted victims, assuring that further updates will be communicated. The Kebbi State government has clarified that the directive on the reopening of schools applies only to public and private schools located within cities and major towns across the state. The Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Halima Mohammed, said schools situated on the outskirts of towns, as well as those in remote and rural communities, are excluded from the January 5, 2026 resumption date, pending further directives from the state government. She explained that the clarification taxation was necessary to address public concerns and prevent misinformation surrounding the school reopening announcement.
The Director for His Excellency Dr. Nasser Angwandu, the Executive Governor of Kebbi State, that the schools should be opened. The resumption date for our schools is 5th January 2026. So by this notice, all the schools in the state that are situated in the major cities of the state should resume.
The former presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Beetv, has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to suspend the implementation of the proposed tax reforms, warning that introducing additional tax burdens sought at the beginning of 2026 would worsen the hardship faced by Nigerians. Kachiko described the country's prevailing socio-economic situation as dire, saying the severity of the hardship has pushed many citizens to question the direction of the current administration. He argued that further taxation at this time would place more pressure on already struggling households, while acknowledging that President Tinubu inherited a fragile economy upon assuming office. The former ADC flag bearer criticized the policy direction adopted so far. He maintained that the measures introduced by the administration have aggravated rather than alleviated the suffering of ordinary Nigerians.
We understand the need for tax reforms, but an already overburdened populace can't afford any more taxation, especially when they mostly believe the government does nothing meaningful with its current revenues. This tax reform will further erode the ranks of the Nigerian middle class, who have resorted to paying exorbitant fees for quality education, healthcare, and other social services because of our failed public institutions. My fear is that if implemented as promised by our president, the tax reforms will instigate a crisis of unprecedented proportions in our nation, which no one can afford, especially with our current security issues.
Families across Kebbi State welcome the new year with relief following the donation of 1,200 bags of 25 kg rice to support vulnerable households in the state. The donation was carried out by the Asiwaju for All movement as part of efforts to provide assistance to needy families. Speaking during the presentation, the chairman of the group said the food items were donated on behalf of President Bola Tinubu in collaboration with the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu. He explained that the initiative was aimed at easing the burden on Christian families and enabling them to celebrate the new year with dignity. The Kebbi State coordinator of the forum and secretary of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Hassani Ibarra, alongside the state chairman, formally received the items on behalf of the Christian community, expressing appreciation for the gesture.
The allocation of the rice, which is meant for their community, and I believe that as is expected, you are going to deliver this to the most vulnerable, like it is said, and we hope that you will also be very grateful to Her Excellency for this remarkable assistance.
So as they give me, and I will take it and do what they ask me to do, I will try and do what is the best to do to our people. For what our leaders have done to us, I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. God bless them, God bless them.
The people of Wawa community in Sardwana, local government of areas of Taraba State, have reaffirmed their support for President Bola Tinubu and Governor Abu Kefas ahead of the 2027 general elections. The pledge was made during the 2025 cultural celebration for the Wawa community, which attracted residents, community leaders, and guests from within the outside the area. Speakers at the event expressed appreciation for the leadership of the president and the state governor, noting that the community will continue to support the administrations.
A delegation from Cameroon attended this year's cultural celebration of the Wawa community in Taraba State, which also marked the inauguration of new leadership for the community's cultural association. Speaking at the event, Abel Peter Bukefas in the area ahead of 2027 general elections, as the community is already firmly behind their leadership. Governor Abu Kefas, represented by the State Secretary to the government, has called for peace among residents of Taraba State.
The first batch of Delta State recruits for the Nigerian Army has departed for the training depot in Zaria, Kaduna State to begin their mandatory military training. The recruits, who are not yet regular soldiers, were selected through a state recruitment exercise, according to Dr. Fred Ogenesibi, Director General of the Delta State Orientation and Communication Bureau. A total of 135 candidates, 118 males and 17 females, successfully emerged from the exercise. He stated that 50 recruits departed initially, while the remaining candidates will be deployed into additional batches later in the week to training centers in Oshobu and Jaji. The Delta State government has urged the recruits to serve as ambassadors of the state, demonstrating discipline, integrity, and responsibility throughout the 6-month training period. Again, SCB also highlighted the sustained sensitization campaign over the past 3 years have resulted in over 3,000 Delta State youths being enlisted or commissioned into the armed forces, attributing the success to the commitment of Governor Sheriff. The recruits are expected to complete their training by July 2026. You're still watching Beetv News Update at 3 while we go on a short break. To stay with us.
Gone but not forgotten. Our dearly beloved mommy and matriarch, late Madam Gift Soe Irabo. Mommy, it's been 8 years since you left us in this sinful world, and just like a burnt down library, our world crashed when death took you away from us. As our mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister, aunt, and mother-in-law, we will not forget in a hurry the great lessons you taught us, especially your prayerful lifestyle that brought us closer to God. We remember your undying love, care, and passion for God and man. The entire family of Yorama Irabo of Ogo Town in Orion local government area of Edo State cordially invites the public to the 8 years remembrance of their daughter, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, Madam Gift Soe Irabo. Date, January 13, 2026. Venue, Rose Garden Event Center, number 22, Giwa Amo Street, off Airport Road, GRA, Benin City. Time, 12 p.m. prompt. Mommy, continue to rest until we meet to part no more. We love you dearly. Signed, Ambassador Ogene Osaumese JP for the family.
Welcome back. And on the global scene, global investors are confronting a renewed wave of geopolitical uncertainty following the reported capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro by the United States, a dramatic move that has sent shockwaves through financial markets and foreign policy circles. The report.
The operation, attributed to the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump, represents one of the most aggressive interventions in Latin America in recent decades. While details surrounding the capture remain limited, the developments have immediately raised questions about Venezuela's political future, regional stability, and the fate of the country's vast oil reserves, the largest proven reserves in the world. From a market perspective, the event has introduced a complex mix of risk and opportunity. On one hand, investors are wary of potential retaliation from Maduro loyalists, unrest within Venezuela, and broader diplomatic fallout involving U.S. adversaries such as Russia, China, and Iran, all which have strategic interests in the country. These concerns have driven short-term volatility in global equity, emerging market assets, and energy markets. On the other hand, some investors are positioning for a long-term upside scenario. A regime change in Caracas could lead to the lifting of U.S. and international sanctions, opening Venezuela's oil sector to foreign investment for the first time in years. Such a shift could significantly increase global oil supply, ease energy prices, and benefit riskier assets tied to emerging markets and energy infrastructure. Oil markets react swiftly to the news, with prices initially spiking on fears of disruption before stabilizing amid speculation that Venezuelan production could eventually return to global markets at scale. Analysts caution, however, that restoring output would take time due to years of underinvestment, damaged infrastructure, and the need for political legitimacy under any successor government. Currency and bond markets have also responded. Venezuelan sovereign bonds, long considered distressed assets, saw renewed speculative interest, while broader emerging market currency experienced mild pressure as investors reassessed geopolitical exposure. Beyond markets, the move has intensified debate over U.S. foreign policy. Critics warn that the capture of a sitting head of state could set a dangerous precedent and provoke asymmetric responses, including cyber activities or proxy actions elsewhere. Supporters argue that removing Maduro could end years of economic collapse, humanitarian crisis, and mass migration affecting the wider region. For now, investors are bracing for continued uncertainty. Risk appetite remains fragile, with market participation closely monitoring diplomatic reactions, statements from Washington, and signs of stability or unrest inside Venezuela. While the prospect of unlocking Venezuela's oil wealth offers potential long-term gains, the immediate outlook is defined by heightened geopolitical risk and an increasingly unpredictable global landscape. Favor Kolawole, reporting for Beetv News.
On the business news, CRG Motors Co. Limited has terminated the appointment of its executive director, Chubri Arogundede, over allegations of financial misappropriation and abuse of authority. The company said the decision followed a period of suspension and a comprehensive internal investigation into his conduct while in office. The report.
In a statement issued on Sunday, the automobile firm disclosed that the findings of the internal review revealed actions that fell below its governance, compliance, and ethical standards. Based on the gravity of the issues uncovered, management approved the immediate termination of Arogude's appointment. CIG Motors also confirmed that aspects of the investigation involving alleged financial impropriety and being referred to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for further investigation. The company stated that it is cooperating fully with law enforcement authorities, reiterating its zero-tolerance stance on financial misconduct and its commitment to protecting institutional integrity and stakeholders' interests. How 712 billion naira upgrades others shape aviation in 2025. Nigeria's aviation industry recorded mixed fortunes in 2025, with notable gains overshadowed by persistent challenges that drew widespread criticism from stakeholders. The sector grappled with rising airfares, weak infrastructure, regulatory bottlenecks, limited access to affordable financing, and disputes arising from concession arrangements. Airline operators, particularly domestic carriers, attributed the surge in airfares to these constraints, warning that air travel was increasingly becoming unaffordable for the average Nigerian. Throughout the year, the industry frequently made headlines for negative developments, including institutional inefficiencies and structural weaknesses. The sector was also marked by repeated incidents of airport disruptions linked to violence and passenger misconduct. High-profile cases involve Fuji musician Wasiu Ayinde, popularly known as Kwamwan, a confrontation involving Edo North Senatorial District Senator Adams Oshomole, and a widely reported altercation between a passenger, Comfort Emerson, and an Ibom Air cabin crew member, which escalated into a major airport incident. The National Emergency Management Agency has urged communities prone to flooding to adopt improved environmental practices and disaster risk reduction measures as part of a new national response strategy. The agency said prevention and preparedness must guide responses to recurring climate-related disaster. The NEMA Director General Zubaida Umar gave the charge while distributing relief materials to flood victims in Ogoja and Yala local government areas of Cross River State. Represented by the Head of Relief and Rehabilitation at the Uyo Operations Office, Victor Akpampam, she emphasized the importance of responsible waste disposal, drainage maintenance, and early warning systems in reducing flood-related losses. Umar sympathized with affected residents, explaining that the intervention was aimed at cushioning the impact of floods recorded earlier in the year and supporting recovering efforts. Beneficiaries were seen leaving distribution centers with food items and other relief materials, expressing relief as assistance reached households affected by displacement and disrupted livelihoods. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BTV News.
And lastly, on sports news, Manchester United have sacked manager Ruben Amorim, with Darren Fletcher set to take temporary charge for Wednesday Premier League clash against Burnley. Amorim, who had been in charge for 14 months, reportedly clashed with club officials over transfer backing and expressed frustration at not being fully supported in his role. Following a 1-1 draw with Leeds on Sunday, he hinted he was ready to leave at the end of his contract in 18 months, describing himself as wanting to work as a manager, not the coach. Manchester United said the decision to part ways was made reluctantly, with the club sitting 6th in the Premier League. Amorim's coaching staff have also left, and sources told BBC Sport the club felt there had been insufficient progress this season. Amorim won 25 of 63 games during his 14th-month tenure, the shortest for a permanent Manchester United manager since David Moyes in 2014. Fletcher, the club's under-18 head coach and former technical director, will lead the teams temporarily and is expected to hold a press conference ahead of the Burnley's game. And that's all in our news updates. Thank you for joining us. To stay tuned for more updates on our major news at 6. I am Lee Britzman Johanna.